it comes to actually measuring your partner performance, here's how you can improve the ROI and optimize your partner program. You can't measure, you can't manage what you don't measure, right? So without the actual metrics in place, you can't prove partnerships work. You can't get the budget, and you can't identify what's working and what isn't. And so you're just kind of flying blind. The module here is going to cover the metrics that matter and how to build dashboards, how to use data, and how to properly optimize your program, right? So kind of the data tracking measure to make sure you're taking calculated decisions to make sure your partner program is actually taking the right steps forward. So when you look at the metrics hierarchy, activity is going to be number one, right? So it's what you're doing. The partners recruited, training is complete, meetings held. And then level two is going to be the performance metrics, how well it's working, right? Deal registered, pipeline generated, win rates. And then level three, business impact, what the business cares about, revenue, CAC, reduction, customer retention. Most companies track level one, but successful companies focus on level three, right? So of course, I wouldn't say companies don't look at number three, but they kind of fall to level one to be like, okay, this is going to be the reason why level three is going to be good. But realistically, right, you're going to have to work backwards from the three levels itself. So, okay, is revenue down? Is there a CAC reduction? No. Okay, let's go to level two. Okay, what's working? What isn't working? Right? Are our win rates low? Or is our pipeline generated actually high, but our win rates are low? Or our deal registered is low? Okay, our deal registered is low. Okay, how many of our partners are actually completing the trainings? How many meetings are actually being held? Do we have enough partners to actually increase flow? Or do we just not have enough quantity of data to actually sustain a qualified decision, right? Because at the end of the day, if you have supposedly like 3 or 4 data points that are going up and down, you're gonna see a lot more anomalies versus like maybe 1,000 data points. Now, I'm not saying recruit 1,000 partners, but what I'm saying is have enough data to make calculated decisions. So the core partnership metrics that you look at with revenue, partner source revenue, deal revenue from deals partners that originated. So the sum of closed won deals where partners was their source, and typically you'll find most partner programs where it's actually the source, 10 and 30% of total revenue, depending on the program maturity. Uh, some companies get zero, some companies actually get more than 30%. It's depending on the way you're structured your company. I personally believe that most companies are going to start moving to more and more partner ecosystem type of approach where a lot of it's going to be sourced or at least found visible, or started at the partner level based on the fact that with trust being so low in this day and age that it's one of those things where you want to arbitrage trust and buy trust through your partner program. A partner influence revenue, so where partners help close, but didn't necessarily source, right? So you're bringing someone in to help them get that first win, right? Or they work as a reseller, right? Versus if you you might not sell direct, or if you do sell direct, they might not be able to want it, or they want to do it through a certain reseller or distributor, right? So you can work through there. And 20-50% of total revenue for mature programs will typically find through here. It's where the product typically gets more sticky because at the end of the day, right, if you can get your product to stick and reduce churn, you're going to have more chances for not only upsells, but you're going to have more chances for that partner to see quality of life and then for them to turn into more partner source revenue. Partner delivered revenue, service partners generate from your customers. So the sum of partner services contracts increase customer success and reduce your cost to serve, right? Like people who kind of do it for you. At the end of the day, right, it's a cost analysis of how can we reduce cost and increase revenue. And so typical metrics that we'll find is partner source pipeline, open opportunities, partners originated. So your target is 2 to 3x your revenue target, assuming a 30-40% close rate, which is typically average. Now, if your close rates are low, and that's due to your own salespeople, that's a whole different problem, bottleneck you're going to have to solve. You don't want to assume that, okay, what if you just 5 or 6x it and compensate for a lower close rate that's going to do better? Realistically, it's not going to help you, right? So deal registration volume, number of deals partners register monthly, increases 10-20% quarter over quarter as your partners start to learn how to push your product, and they have their own qualified swim lanes, and these recruit more partners, then it starts increasing over time, right? Because some partners might end up only serving like 5 deal regs per quarter, right? If it's more maybe like heavier deals, then okay, like now we know what works for them. Let's find identical partners with different swim lanes. And swim lanes is in the aspect of, okay, like supposedly they are selling in the public sector, right? And they specifically work only in the public sector in the U.S. Okay, what about the public sector in Europe, right? Can we take some of what they're doing right now, do that in Europe, and see if we can translate similarly or somewhat similarly, and try to replicate success there to increase your overall deal registrations coming in that are not directly sourced but indirectly sourced. Pipeline velocity, time from registration to close, right? So partner deals close 20% 30% faster than direct deals, and it's due to pre-qualification and typically relationships that people have with the end consumer. I can remember a deal that I worked on in the past where it's like, hey, they actually came to us initially, and we were working with them. We were channel only driven, so we had to use a channel partner, but we were working with them. They were interested in a security email security product, and from there we actually had spoke with the partner. The partner actually had a really good relationship with that end user, and we had no idea. And so when we spoke with that end user, when we spoke with that partner, we actually sped along the deal, and not only that, we increased the deal size for it, and they brought us into multiple accounts because of it. Not just the partner, but the end user itself. So it really helps having more hands on board to make sure you close the deal, because the better relationship, the more buyer intent and buyer signals you'll get in that deal process, which is essentially the more information and data that you have during that sales cycle, the better off you're going to actually be the winning leg, because more likely than not, you're not going to be the only competitor chasing for that deal. Efficiency metrics, win rates with partners, percentage of partner involved deals that close, target 10-20% higher than deals without partners. I mean, it's like what I mentioned, right? Like that partner had a really good relationship with that end user. And since they did have a good relationship with the end user, they had verbatim told the partner, hey, we're looking at these two other people, but realistically, we like your product more. It's more of a pricing issue now. Okay, now we know that realistically, it's not a value issue, it's a pricing issue. How can we negate that through our whatever I have to do, right? So that kind of insight and help really, really helps. Average deal size, set of deals with partner involvement, target 30-50% larger than direct deals, right? Partners tackle bigger opportunities. It allows you then to actually talk about a bigger holistic issue, especially if they're integration partners, right? Maybe integration and a reseller combining together. Basically, they're trying to solve an overarching business outcome and not just a segment of the business outcome. When we can come together and work together, it makes it much more compelling when you actually come in to solve that solution, solve that problem. Sales cycle length, days from opportunity creation to close. I mean, it's typically 50-20% shorter with partners due to validation and support, right? Like I mentioned, I knew what was going on the customer side because of the partner, and so when I had that information, it made my life significantly easier. Cost of acquisition with partners, customer acquisition cost for partners versus deals, 40-60% lower than direct cost of acquisition. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like you're not spending things on direct sales labor, or you're not having to worry about paid ads, or worry about internal marketing and sales costs. Realistically, you can scale significantly more with partners as they have their own resources, as long as you properly build the program and enable them to actually get it done. So when we look at actually the health metrics, which is really, really important, and I think people really overlook this, is who've had activity in the last 90 days, right? And the typical target is 60-80% of total partners who have had at least some activity, right? You're not going to have 100% partners that are always active, and that's just the name of the game, right? So, which is why we recommend, like, hey, you should do a little bit more than you could, especially with AI. You're able to enable a lot more partners and allow for bigger growth. But what we do recommend and do see is that a lot of partners, there's activity, but not all of them. Partners who complete certifications, and I hold this very, very lightly, because of the fact that, listen, the certifications are great, but the certifications must be done in a manner where it's like, okay, quick, effective, and how can they sell on your behalf, knowing the business outcome of the consumer, right? So 100% for strategic partners, they need to know what's going on. 70% for all partners, just to know, like, hey, they know what they're selling, right? They're not just selling something; they know what they're selling, and you don't want to make it super long, but I mean, there's videos around that. Net Promoter Score for partner surveys. Like 50 plus, anything above 70 is exceptional. And then your churn rate, right? Percentage of partners who leave annually, you want ideally some people or less, because when you realize that, you're like, this is a really good indicator that your partners are not finding success. And if they're willing to leave or just be inactive, which is to say, or inactive, then clearly there's something wrong in your enablement process, where they're not able to either get the first win, or it might be your product issue where, like, hey, the product is not sticking. And if you can tie it to the churn, those same accounts that were churned together, then you kind of have a overarching issue of your product and customer success there. So I mentioned by partner type, different partner types with different metrics, right? Solution partners, service attachment rates, percent of deals with services, customer satisfaction scores, influence revenue, implementation success rate. Tech partners, look at integration adoption, influence revenue, win rate improvement, customer retention impact. And then resellers, source revenue, number of deals, average deal size, margin discount levels. And the referral partners, looking at referral sent, conversion rate, cost per lead, referral cost as percentage of the cost of acquisition per customer. When you build your dashboard, right, like the one-page view for leadership, And if you are leadership, one-page review to actually get what you need to do is total partner influence revenue, year to date versus the target, active partners, pipeline value, and quarters key wins, like obviously top deals, and update it monthly. Right, you can have a weekly view as well if you like, or even a daily view, but weekly might be more better to handle. An operations dashboard, detailed view for day-to-day management, deal registrations, pipeline by stage, partner activity levels, certification status, top performers, right? And you want to make sure you're constantly making your partners feel, who's the best performing, and make them feel good for performing well, and actually spotlight them, because there's an aspect of there might be partners who might not be performing the best or are working to get there, and you see that you're encouraging them because they hit a certain metrics, and might also honestly motivate them based on them seeing success, right? A little FOMO aspect. A partner dashboard where partners see about their performance, their pipeline, closed deals, commission earnings, their certification status, resources accessed, up to real time. So when we look at dashboard tools, you could use Google Sheets, but it's manual updates. I've been talking with a lot of companies. A lot of them want to use their Salesforce or HubSpot, which is fine. You can use that. It does the job. It's not going to be the 100% the best, but if you have something advanced, more dedicated to partnership analytics, it'll be a lot easier. And then with the reporting cadence, weekly updates, internal partnership team format a 5-minute stand-up or Slack update. And it should look over like the week wins, deal regs, blockers, and next priorities, right? You want to keep these short and concise, because at the end of the day, meetings is going to create more blocks of times that don't enable your team to actually sell, right? So it kind of hinders you sometimes. Monthly reviews, partnership sales, so it's marketing, leadership, revenue versus target, pipeline health, key partner updates, and next month's plans. And I highly suggest also, this partnerships is not just a sales marketing kind of issue. It's a whole company kind of thing. So you want to look at customer success. You want to look at the product side for the integration partner side. You want to look at the legal side. You want to look at the finance side. You got to look at a whole holistic picture and make sure they're at least kept in the loop for decisions to be made, or brought back in for decisions to be made. It's one of those things where you need the entire team to kind of work together. And QBRs, quarterly business reviews, executive team formats, results, targets, the ROI analysis, partner highlights, and next quarter strategy. If you've done a QBR, it's pretty standard. Annual planning, right? You be your C-suite, your board, if you have a board, and then full year performance, ROI and business impact, strategic recommendations, next year budget and targets, right? And so this is what you would care about now, the proving the ROI. So this is what would end up getting you more budget, right? So your ROI is your partner program minus partner program cost, divided by partner program cost times 100, right? That's going to be essentially what the kind of would look like. Partner influence revenue, cost acquisition savings, increased win rates, faster sales cycles, higher customer retention, right? Partnership team salaries, partner compensation, enablement cost, tools, tech, marketing events, right? So example calculation, just to show it's not like some vanity stuff. $10 million partner influence revenue, $500K in cost acquisition savings, $300K in retention improvement, aka decreased churn, a $10.8 million total value, right? But then you got to look at costs, right? So let's look at salaries, right? Let's say partnership team salaries, for example. 1.5 million in partner compensation, right? The percentage fees. 200K in enablement and tools. It's a $2.5 million total cost, right? So in this example, you're noticing a 300% ROI. And so in a good year, right, you'll notice if you build your good foundation is 102% ROI, 250 to 400% ROI scaling, and then 400 to 600%, where most companies actually honestly go channel driven, which is why you see a huge intake, because of the fact that partner compensation will be typically significantly easier to scale than having to always be onboarding more salaries, right? Because your partnership team, like you might have like 3 or 4 partners, partnership people, right? Let's assume they have heavy salaries. Let's go even like 8, for example, right? If you have 8 partnership people, you likely have a lot more than 8 partners. And so let's take this as 15. You probably have a lot more than 15 partners, assuming they have the same salaries, right? But these guys are actually driving revenue at the ground level. So this is where you'll notice a bigger ROI in terms of bringing things out of house and enabling an ecosystem for people to sell on your behalf. Using data to optimize metrics to drive decisions. So which partners perform the best? Rank partners by revenue, pipeline efficiency. Double down on top 20, replicate what they do, and consider exiting the bottom 20%, right? You don't need that junk. Which partners types drive the most value? Compare ROI across partner types. You'll notice like typically 1 or 2 drive the most value. So what we were seeing with a lot of companies, especially in this day and age where a lot of companies are going with the integration route and service-based partners, because the integration partners will allow you, especially in the 0 to 1. We have a lot of integrations, right? The top of the funnel visibility of like, okay, they partner with these people. Okay, I need this. I usually use them, so I'm going to use them as well, right? So that SEO, the SEM, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, LLM marketing, LLM search engine optimization. That kind of new wave of SEM, SEO. That's going to be there. And then you notice that typically people tag on like service partners, right? Because you can go to a service partner who like supposedly HubSpot certified partner, right? And you integrate with HubSpot. And you serve the same ICP, right? Assuming you did the whole like partner profile stuff. Then from there you can be like, okay, hey, here's Messi. You can be like, okay, hey, you see you work with HubSpot. So HubSpot, we actually have a client that also uses HubSpot and found value in our product as well. Super, super easy to install. We give a certain percentage fee, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever marketing message you're going to want to say. And then from there, you target who their integration partners are. And that's how you kind of use other people's integration partner ecosystems to scale up your own, right? And then as you do that, then you notice you'll get a lot more inbound as you go to in-person events, or then you'll go to in-person events, or then you get inbound online applications, right? Like with Airtable. So, like as an example, so you'll notice that, right? Like you'll find some like swim lanes or lanes of partners that might produce the highest ROI. Where do partners add the most value? Like I mentioned, compare win rates, deal sizes by involvement type, train partners in highest value scenarios. What's blocking it? Survey the partners, track where deals stall, right? Like you gotta really, really talk with your partners like you talk to your customer, right? And it's because of the fact that like, hey, they're gonna be understanding what's causing them not to be able to sell on your behalf, right? What's causing them trouble? How fast are we growing? Track quarter-over-quarter growth rates. If 10% quarter-over-quarter growth rate, increase recruitment. If 50%, focus on enablement, right? Common measure mistakes, tracking activities, not outcomes. We do 20 partner trainings, no one gives a crap, but no revenue impact, right? So track the metrics, not activity metrics. Can't prove which revenue came from partners. So implement deal registration, attribution tracking, right? Because you got to be able to understand what the ROI is in the investment you're doing in partners. Otherwise, you're going to feel like, okay, is it producing well? Is it not producing well? If it's not producing well, what can you fix? And then go down that funnel. Or if it's producing well, okay, how can we replicate that and double down? Vanity metrics, we have 100 partners, but only 5 are active, right? So track active partners' performance, not just the partner count, who's bringing the deals, who's not bringing the deals. Inconsistent reports every few months in different formats, set cadence, use the same format, build a habit, right? And this very easily could be done with your HubSpot, right? You can just download like a report once you build like the whole dashboard. And no benchmarking, don't know if your numbers are good or bad. Compare industry benchmarks and track improvement over time. So partners influence revenue tracked, active partners defined and measured, deal registration volume tracked, win rate versus without partners calculated. Intermediate metrics should have pipeline metrics by stage, partner health scores, CAC comparison, partner versus direct, partner NPS tracked. And advanced metrics nice to have is like customer retention by partner involvement, lifetime value comparison, partner engagement scoring, predictive analytics, partner performance.